uplift the lives one day at a time. Kimmy Kim and Elations Radio. They're here to get your day going fine. Kimmy Kim and Elations Radio. Kimmy Kim and Elations Radio. Kimmy Kim and Elations Radio. And here's your host, Miss Kim Robinson.
Hello, this is Kimmy Kim with Elation Radio. I am proud to announce that I've joined the initiative of Black Men Will Vote in 2020. Pick up your baton today. The purpose of this movement is to exercise your right to vote and to make sure that you're voting responsibly. We must hold the candidate responsible based on what they say they will do for our communities. For more information, please visit Black Men Will Vote. You can visit their website at bmwvotein2020.com or search for them on social media. Thank you so much for your time, and have a blessed day.
Life Hi, everybody. This is Trenace, and welcome to the inaugural show. Welcome to the inaugural show of, well, it used to be called Shine. Well, we're doing a little bit something different now. So welcome to the inaugural show of Next Level with Trenace. Thank you guys so much for joining me and welcoming me back to radio. Okay. There seems to be some technical difficulties here. One moment. Okay, great. That's issue. I apologize. So I'm going to, again, welcome you to the inaugural show of Next Level with Trenace. Thank you guys so much for joining me. All right, everybody's in. I want to, first of all, thank Kimmy Kim here for inviting me to be a part of her show, of her program. Oh, gosh, one moment. All right. There must be a lot of people calling in already. So with no further ado, today's guest of my inaugural show is my good friend, the marriage coach, Gwendolyn B. Elmore. And I say, what a fitting guest, because Gwendolyn B. Elmore has been a marriage coach for a number of years. And I just released the Dear Future Husband book a couple of months ago, October. So what I'm going to do is, give me 1 second, and I'm going to introduce Gwen, and we're going to get this show started. Gwendolyn B. Elmore, she's God's daughter, a wife, a mother, a grandmother, a minister, an author, a teacher, a singer, and a songwriter. She is a certified marriage and family educator coach, a certified marriage mediator, and a certified facilitator. She is not a licensed counselor, nor does she claim to be. She is committed to educating married couples, families, singles, and those who are engaged looking to be married. With her certification, she gives the most credit to what she's supposed to do on earth to the Almighty God, the Creator. So let's invite Gwendolyn B. Elmore in. Gwen, are you there?
Can you hear me? Hi, how are you?
Oh, great. There you are. Hi, how are you?
I'm wonderful.
So thank you so much for honoring me to be my very first guest on Next Level with Trenace.
Thank you for having me.
As you know, you are one of my favorite people on the face of the earth. And
thank you.
I just I love what you do, and I am super proud of how you have been expanding and growing and teaching families and single people and married people. Can you tell us about your business?
In my business, what I do is, first of all, let me thank you for having me on your program today. It's certainly an honor to be on your program. I actually am involved in, I do workshops, I do one-on-one coaching, couples coaching, I do mentoring and I also do speaking engagements, and I am an author. And so I think the real important thing is to know that I am very interested in making sure that everybody who wants to be happily married, giving them the tools so that they can be happily married.
Perfect. So, can you tell me? Well, we're gonna you'll say first of all, February is my very favorite month. It's my favorite month for a number of reasons. Black History, Valentine's Day, and I know you have a very special week that's important to you this month, and that's Marriage Week. National Marriage Week, February 7th through the 14th. Let's talk about what Marriage Week is really, what is it about?
Well, it actually is about building families, focusing on building the family life and the love of the family, and how we're supposed to behave and how marriage is supposed to be. We want to encourage each family every year to just get that, start that regrouping. And, after we've gone through so many things the year before, now we need to get focused on what we need to do for our marriages this year, So, lots of times people go through a lot of bumps, bruises, and trying to get back on track may be a little bit hard. So what we do is try to get them to focus that week on just, what needs to be done, just the basics, because I am a firm believer that we cannot do this without God's word. He is the one that created it, so we have to go to him. Many times people will use that backyard mechanic for their cars and go to them to get stuff done when you need to take that Mercedes to the Mercedes dealership. So we have a habit of doing things like that instead of going back to the creator, who created it, who knows more about it than anybody else. And so we try to get marriages, husbands, wives, children back focused on that part. What does God say about this? How do we handle this versus how our girlfriends say we should handle it, or the guys at the gym say we should handle it? We go about it, how are we going to handle it God's way?
So do you have any special activities around this, around Marriage Week? That's literally days away. Today is February 1st. So do you have activities?
Yes, the 7th to the 14th, I will actually be doing Facebook Live for about 15 to 30 minutes. It just kind of depends how it flows that week, so that I can give people tips and things, to do that they can strengthen their marital relationships without getting into specifics of, things, because I like for people to get the whole picture. So I'll just deal with stuff about, how we can live together every day, things that we need to be doing. And then, the harder things will come when sometimes, I have people who are dealing with infidelity and finances and all that stuff. So I try to focus on just the basics that week, and then they can contact me if they need any further assistance. And I'll also be starting Marriage Matters. Monday Marriage Matters.
Oh, wow. Well, I will be looking.
Yeah.
I know I'm not married, but I'll be looking forward to it. I actually look forward to it every year. I don't know that you knew that I was watching it, but you do some
okay.
you do some really great tips. With that being said, it obviously sounds like there is a marriage mindset, and the marriage mindset. Because of that, how soon should that be developed, or should that be something that a single person or a person that's dating should consider? because I don't believe in just dating to be dating. I do believe in dating with a purpose, and the purpose should be marriage. So would you say that there is a marriage mindset?
I would say that there is, because of the fact that for men, if you're considering getting married, you need to make sure that you are ready to handle that responsibility as a husband. So many oftentimes people are getting married for financial reasons. They're in debt and they need somebody to help them get out of debt. But you need to make sure when Adam was in the garden, he had everything he needed before Eve even came on the scene. So he has to make sure that with or without her finances, will I be able to take care of this wife? Is that somebody I want to spend the rest of my life with, taking care of her in sickness and in health, for rich or for poor? Is that the person? Needs to be the mindset, I believe, and am I going to put my all in it? I don't believe in this 50-50. I believe that you need to put your total self into it because, first of all, when you do decide to get married, you're not just making a covenant with that person, but that person, you and God, you're in covenant with. I want to make sure that you don't ever disappoint God in the covenant. And men carry, I believe, a greater assignment. Not that the woman's assignment is not greater, but I believe that the woman's assignment is dependent upon the man, because if the man does everything that God has instructed him to do, then I believe he will get the wife that God's, she will develop, even if sometimes, people are married now and I tell them, they're like, okay, how do we get back to that? Well, you have to start with God's word. And for women, if they have considering getting married, they have to decide, is this the man I want to submit to? And everybody thinks that that's a bad word, but it's not a bad word because men have to submit to God as women submit to them. So you have to decide, is this man the man I want to submit to the rest of my life? So I think those two things are very important, the responsibility of the man and the submission of the woman.
Well, I agree. I think, unfortunately, society has kind of mixed the roles of what a woman and what a man is supposed to be, and I think because of that when we can't clearly define our roles, then there's going to be a lot of problems in the family and in the marriage. Right. A lot of times, women are strong. Let's just put it out there. We are strong.
Right.
So many times we consider it to be weak to be submissive. We also consider it weak to be feminine, and feminine is definitely more than makeup, stilettos, and what you have. Right. There is there is a strength in being submissive and femininity. So I was, as a single person, because I believe you are single until you marry, how long do you think people should court before even considering moving to the next step of engagement?
Well, I think that varies for some people, and the reason I say that is because there are some people that I have encountered who said that instantly they knew that they wanted to spend the rest of their lives with this person. I even have a couple who only knew each other for 7 days, and they've been married 31 years. I also know a couple who's only were dated for 3 months, and they've been married almost 50 years. So it depends on, I believe, that the two individuals and what they have decided is this who I believe I'm supposed to spend the rest of my life with. And, of course, if they have some issues or whatever and they need to work those out, then that's going to be on. I just think that it's an individual thing. Some believe that it's 6 months to a year that, you could possibly should be dating. But I think in a few months you will know if this is the person or not. Sometimes people know at the first sitting that they are definitely not the one. And then, it just kind of depends where you are in your decision making with even wanting to get married?
Well, yeah, that's definitely true with that. And I'll say that because there was a young man that went to my church. I got a wedding invitation from him, like literally a couple of days ago, and I know the young lady that he was dating before, and that didn't work out. And he and I still, we were still friends, and we remained in contact. And he text messaged me, and we talked a little bit via text. And he said that he was engaged, and I was like, "Oh, wow!" And he went on to say that he had met. They've been knowing each other for 3 months, and I texted him back, "Are you sure she is the one?" And he was like, "Yeah, but when he knew that he was looking for a wife, period.
Right.
He knew for whatever reason, he knew that he was looking for a wife. He knew he was looking for a wife, and that was his goal, to get a wife. And here I am, looking at a beautiful invitation from he and this young lady, and I had always heard of things like that happening, but I had only heard of things like that happening, like not in more recent times, so maybe back further, not long ago, but not in recent times, where a person just gets engaged that quickly. And I think it's maybe been a year, because I don't think people have a mindset of marriage anymore. Because I think I want to say he's in his 30s, maybe his early 30s. But you don't hear of young people wanting and looking actively to be a spouse, to be a husband, or to be a wife. Right. Do you think that society has changed how we think and feel about the union of marriage?
I think it has, because I want to say there are several reasons, but one of the main reasons is because a lot of people who are in certain age categories have not seen marriage in a good light. They've seen a lot of abuse, a lot of adultery, a lot of things that were going on, and some people vow never to get married, that they would rather try it out by shacking first to see if it's going to work. So they don't take it as serious as it used to be. It used to be such a serious thing about getting married and having a husband and having a wife. So what happens is we have some people who would rather not be married because of society and because of the way things are done nowadays. They would just rather not be married because they didn't see good examples. And so society doesn't help in that. And unfortunately, I have to say sometimes the church doesn't help in that either, because they also have seen bad things happen between Christians who are supposed to be married to one another, and they haven't experienced that joy of marriage that's supposed to be that God only having God involved in it can give.
Well, I hadn't really thought about that, but it seems true. If you don't have a model of what marriage looks like, you don't have an example, you don't have any idea what marriage looks like, feels like, tastes like, smells like, then based on the things that you do see we're inundated in social media, television, videos, then maybe that is also a way that influences people to not even consider marriage.
It does. Big influences. It does. It really does. I think if even little girls growing up, they always dream about being married. A lot of them always dream about getting married. I knew when I was growing up, let me say, because nowadays, most girls are thinking about, in their 20s, 30s, about running a big company or doing these big things that women's lib has brought on and taken the mother out of the home. And not saying that women can't do those things. I'm not saying that. But I think a lot of that has to do with how we view our place in marriage. And marriage is not for everybody. So if you choose not to be a wife and not to be at home while your children are young age, you'd rather have somebody else, taking care of them while you go to work and you're the big boss at work, that is your prerogative. You can do that if you want to. But it's our job as wives, mothers, to make sure that those kids are nurtured and they have everything they need by the time they're 5 from us emotionally. And I don't think they can always get that going to daycare all the time. That's just me. Mm-hmm. So we have to, consider, and I know because things have gotten a little bit out of hand with how the world views stuff, and so we've just taken on the mindset of the world instead of taking on the mindset of what God says I should be doing. And there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you want to do. Because I'm not knocking what's comfortable for you with that. But when you get back to my thing is now I'm attempting to reach those who are thinking about getting married and not focusing so much on what they think it should be, but how it should be based on what the Word of God says. Even if they've already decided, okay, she's gonna be working outside the home or whatever. But once those children come, that should shift just a little bit, so that you can put your values and everything into your children and not have somebody else doing that for you. You can put, especially if you're going to say that you name the name of Christ and you're a believer or you're a Christian, however you call yourself, you got to do it His way for it to be effective. And yeah, you might say, some might say, well, it's working for me. But think how you even think it's working well, but just think how much better it would work if you were doing it His way.
It sounds like you have an understanding that society really has changed how we do things, and how we say we are believers of God and how we are Christian and we love God, but we have taken out how He expects us to live in our everyday life.
Right.
Because there are a lot of, I do a lot of things in business, but when I get a husband, I am confident, and I know that I'm going to have to, I know that I'm going to just change things up. Maybe I won't be up all night working on things. Maybe I won't get up so early in the morning and work things, but the other part of that is I don't have any kids now.
Right.
So
right.
I do think society has put us in a position where women want things, and our trade-off for the businesses, the cars, and the ownership of different things it caused us to trade off our nurture. It's caused us to trade in our femininity. And it's it's put us in a position where we are not available at the level that we need to be available for not only our children, but our family as a whole.
You're right. You're absolutely right. And it's, like I say, it's nothing wrong with that if that works for you and you're already in it and you've been doing it that way. But when you have, like you say, you don't have any children, but that you do see that there are some things that are going to have to change when your husband does come.
Right.
So the mindset that you already have is that when he comes, I know I'm going to have to make some changes. But we have some women who we simply refuse. Well, I've been doing this before I married him, and I'm not stopping this. This is what I do. But if you're going to go into marriage that way, then you don't need to be married. You need to decide that until I can get myself together enough to be able to submit to a husband as he submits to God, then I need to just hold off on that.
Now, recently, a couple of weeks ago, I was off, and I happened to catch. I can't remember what her name is, but she is I don't know exactly what to call her, but I know she does pre-engagement counseling. As she daughter calls it, boyfriend girlfriend counseling, and that helps them decide whether engagement or is the next step, or just dissolving the entire relationship. Had you heard of that, or what do you think of that?
I've heard of it. It's not something that I get a lot of people coming to me beforehand. They actually come after they get the ring. And so I think let me back up just a little bit, because I think what happens with us in this society too is that at 6, 7, and 8 years old, we have kids coming home from school saying they got a boyfriend or they got a girlfriend. Then by the time they're 11 years old, they're talking about they got a new boyfriend. Okay, and then by the time it's really time for them to start dating and they date somebody, they find it real easy just to drop this person and pick up somebody else. So I think we're already practicing divorce before we even get old enough to get married. Because we get married, we get upset because this person didn't fulfill what we thought they were going to fulfill, or he liked Shaniqua over there. He was sitting by her at school, and he must like her. So I stopped talking to him because he likes her now. And now when they get older, it's easy for them to just drop relationships because that's what they've been practicing all the time. Instead of allowing them to wait until dating age for marriage, which would be the right thing to do, but society forces parents to allow kids to start dating early, because first of all, the daughter comes home, she's stomping and mad because her friends are going out at 16 or 15, and now the parents feel like, okay, I got to give her some room because all of her other friends are doing it. But we're teaching them to easily give up on relationships.
Wow. So
yeah,
that makes me think. I remember growing up, the rule was you had to be 16 to be for you to even be able to go out on a date. So even that, for me growing up, that was kind of like everybody in my age group that grew up with me, in my age group, that was the dating age for girls, 16. Now, all of this boyfriend, girlfriend talk when we were younger, I don't so much remember a whole lot of that, but then we weren't allowed to wear makeup until we became 16 either. Nowadays, girls are wearing makeup younger and younger, and you do hear more often boyfriend at 10, 11, 12, 13. That's just so interesting. I never really thought about it like that.
Yeah. It gives them the mindset that, oh, this didn't work, so let me move on to the next thing. So so they're not even old enough to really to a relationship. So why are we allowing them to come home and say, oh, I got a boyfriend or I got a girlfriend, just because everybody else is doing it?
Yeah.
No, we have to sit down with them, let them know that, look, you're not old enough to date. People who are old enough to date their next step is to be married.
Right, not the next step to get another date.
Right. That's the way it should be. But ideally, we know that that's not the way it is. But then you have to develop a relationship with your children so they understand it. And then I don't think kids will be as defiant as we think they would if they really understood. And you always not make it so that it's not that you're going to hurt me as much as you're going to hurt the Creator, because this is not what He wants you to do. This is not what He desires for you. Because I stand on Joshua 1:8. This book of the law shall not depart out of our mouth, but we should meditate on it day and night, observe to do all that is written therein, and then we should have good success. So that means the Word of God is what we need to be basing everything on so that we could have good success.
You are really educating me today, as usual. But I get to share you with the world now.
Wow. Yeah, so, if we do that and teach our children that, and at a very early age, so that they can understand and have a relationship and develop a relationship with Him. Because you know what? God talks to them too. And if we teach them how to hear His voice, when they hear His voice about, okay, don't do that, don't do this. And that was one thing that I always told my children. I did not want you to do what I say because I just want you to do what I say. I want you to be able to, when you get older and God speaks to you, that you obey the voice, because now you're accustomed to hearing, the right from wrong, what to do, not to do. Because if you disobey me and you keep disobeying me, when He speaks to you, you disobey Him. And He can't reward you like I can't reward you like He can.
Right.
So if we get them to listening and hearing for His voice, I think it would be key to them wanting to walk in the Word.
Now, I'm going to ask you this. I'm going to ask you this because your answer in our conversation earlier, it was, as I would say, dope. How long have you been married?
We got 35 years plus in it. Plus, I have 58 years of experience from my parents, and I have several years of experience from my siblings who have good marriages. So about 100 years worth of marriage experience I have under my belt.
In a time when I call them starter marriages, like people have starter rings, in a time when people just can pick marriage up and throw it down, that's a pretty good track record to me.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's a very, very good track record, because you had the mentorship of your parents.
Right.
You had the mentorship of your siblings and family members that were around you, and now you are living that life as a mentor, as a woman in business, as coaching married couples and engaged couples, and mentoring your own children and even those of us that you've adopted.
Mhm. Yeah.
That is
it. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. That to me, that is just so amazing when I think about what seeing you and your husband mean to me, and knowing your children and seeing them married and seeing them develop their families, and just the people that you are connected to, and seeing that you are an influence on how they walk in life, and knowing that you are influencing them based on your calling to God, because you've known for a long time.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes, I have for a long time. Since about the age of 16, it's so weird because older married women would actually come to me and ask advice on handling stuff. And at first I used to say, I don't know anything. What do I know to say? And then I would give them what I know to say concerning the Word of God and what I saw with my parents and stuff, because for us, my siblings and I, there were 9 of us, and my dad was a pastor, and my mom was a minister, but she was also a social worker who did not go to work until our youngest brother was 5 years old. So we saw a lot of love. We saw a lot of giving of oneself, her submitting to him as he submitted to God. We never, in all the years they were married, we never saw them have an argument. And people thought that was unreal. So when I went to school and I saw, kids would be talking about how their parents were fighting and doing stuff like that, and I was like, that was foreign to me because we didn't experience that. We never heard that. My daddy was romantic with my mother, and he never thought there was anything that was too good for her. Anything she wanted, she got. And so it's like, because she brought a part to it where she was the one that made sure that he had everything he needed to be the father that he needed to be and the husband that he needed to be without him worrying about, well, what's happening at home, because he did a lot of going out to minister to places and stuff, and plus he owned his own business. And so she made it home a place of refuge for him, a place of peace for him when he came home. And that meant a lot to him. So he was like, I can remember the times that, he planted roses in the yard and would bring a rose in the house to her every time he came in the house from somewhere. And, he planted a garden. He did all of these things because he wanted to take care of family. And I might be getting off the subject a little bit, but he also, as a young boy, which brings us back to the marriage mindset, he always asked the Lord, he didn't even have a relationship with God, but he asked him if he could have a large family. That was something he always wanted to do. So now God gives him this large family. Now, what are you going to do with this family I've given you? And at the time, my daddy was not when he married my mother, he was not in the place where he should be with his relationship with God. But God spoke to him as a sinner, okay, and asked him when he was sitting at the bar stool, is this how you want to raise your family? He had already had children, 2 of them at the time, I believe, and he asked him, is this how you want to raise your children? And then God gave him specific instructions what he wanted him to do and sent him to a church where they were having a revival, and my dad got saved. And from that day on, he was such a good sinner in the streets that the people did not believe that he would stay in the church. They were looking for him to backslide and come back into the streets because he was a good sinner. And so 50 years went by, and he didn't go back. So by that time, everybody knew he wasn't going back. So I'm saying when a person's heart is about really doing the right thing and being right, I believe that the Holy Spirit, God, will guide them into where and what they need to do and be.
So I didn't know all of that, and I read your book. When is your next book coming out?
Oh, I have, and I have to apologize to my audience because I have 3 books I've been sitting on because I could not decide the cover. So in the next 2 months, I'll be announcing, them coming out. But I do have one that's How Love Got Started. Love is What It Does, and it is actually a story about my mother and father and how all of the siblings, remembered things about them. And the reason behind the book is that people would always ask, how did your parents get all of you to serve the Lord like you do? Because in my family, there are ministers, bishops, elders, all of us are ministers except one, which is my younger sister, because she said she's called to be a pastor's wife. So she still has that grace of a pastor's wife. And I always say she's in denial, but because my dad prayed all the time. He said, you all can go to school to be doctors, lawyers, whatever y'all want to be. He said, but I'm raising preachers in this house. And that used to irritate me because I always said I don't even want anything to do with being married to a preacher. Because it was like we had to walk this chalk line. Everybody was always saying if you did something wrong, oh, look at the preacher kid and stuff. So I didn't want my kids to go through all that, you know. But now that I'm older, I understand all of that. But getting back to, you know, the book, it talks about how they did it. And so that's on Amazon.com. How Love Got Started, Love is What It Does. And the other book is You Should Want This Hug, and it talks about the benefits of a hug. And then the other book is Forgive So You Can Live. It talks about the benefits of forgiving, because lots of times, you know, we hold a lot of stuff against people when we think we are actually hurting them, but we are the ones that are really hurting because it does something on the inside of us that we can't even see, especially concerning your health. When you're holding that stuff in, it actually does something on the inside of you, because, you know, when you haven't forgiven somebody, you see that person, your reaction, the way you are behaving suddenly changes, and the way you know your blood pressure goes up. If it's something really bad, you think it's really bad. You know, all these things started happening in your body, and you don't realize that, you know, you're slowly destroying your body because you're not hurting the other person. Sometimes people don't even know they hurt you to that extent, and they have gone on with their lives, and they're enjoying their lives, and you're sitting holding that mess on the inside when it's only killing you. It's like, I think I heard somebody say one time, you sitting drinking the poison and expecting the other person to die.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
Yeah, so that's crazy. So the thing is, we got to learn to, that's one thing that I am thankful for in my life, is that our parents taught us love and forgiveness, because they didn't allow us to go to bed upset with each other. And that was one of the things that they had promised each other before they got married, that they would never go to bed upset or angry. And so I think my upbringing, that I might have the advantage over a lot of people who don't get to experience that, because we have people who families are, because they are mad with the last generation, then they want you to be mad with everybody else because that happened back then, and now you got the whole family mad with this part of the family because of something that happened years ago. And so we never had to experience, you know, not forgiving people, not loving people, not even helping people, because we would have to even go do chores for the elderly people in the community and not get any pay. Clean their bathrooms, clean up their kitchens, mop their houses, clean their houses on Saturday mornings and stuff. And my mother would not allow us to take a dime. And I think that's an important thing about teaching your children how to serve others too. It's very important. Mm-hmm. Nowadays, everybody's looking for a nickel. You know, so, but she taught us the value of that.
So now that
and the other book is the 21 Tips. Huh?
The 21 Tips?
21 Tips. Yeah. 21 Days to a Better Marriage.
Oh.
And it talks about tips that, it's based on the videos I did for the 21 Days to a Better Marriage. And so that one, too. It will, all of those be on Amazon.com.
So now that I have introduced you to the world, how can they reach out to you for services?
They can reach me. They can email me at medic, MEDIC, ministry @gmail.com. And let me tell you that I don't know if we even said that, but MEDIC is marriage education designed to infuse couples. I believe if you give people the right tools, if you educate them on what it is they're supposed to be doing, as a husband, as a wife, then I think if they have the correct tools, that they can do this. And then they can call me at 843-501-1854. And I'm also have a page on Facebook, Medic Ministry, and they can reach out to me there.
So how can they see your videos on the on Marriage Week?
I actually will send out a link, or they can go to Marriage Ministry, Medic Ministry, on Facebook, the Facebook page, and I'll be posting them there.
Okay.
Yes, I'll be posting them there.
So,
and
if you could get, I'm sorry, you were saying?
Oh, I was going to talk about Marriage Matters Mondays. Starts on February 10th.
Oh, okay. So make sure to when you get the opportunity to send that to me, then I can be sharing that out as well. So if if there were two things that you wanted the takeaway from this conversation to be, what would be the two takeaways?
The two takeaways would be that I want people to understand that marriage is God's plan for husband, wife, and family. Okay? And then I also want them to know that no matter what situation you're in, your marriage can work.
And that is
sweet
awesome.
and simple.
Thank you for being my very first guest on Next Level with Trenace. I'm hoping that those books are going to be available soon.
They will be.
Every Saturday at 5 o'clock, I'll be having a new guest, a new topic, something to move your life to the next level. Today, Gwendolyn B. Elmore is moving your relationships and your marriages into the next level. Next week, I don't know if I'll have a guest next week, but next week it's the weekend before Valentine's Day, and that is for single women. That's their way to celebrate love. So next week is my pre-Valentine's Day free webinar. I think it's an hour and 15 minutes, something like that. You can email me, text message me, smoke signal me. I'm available every avenue to be a part of that. There are worksheets. I have some worksheets for everybody to work on. And it'll be fun, and have some girls over to your house and you all can do it together. And every Saturday I'll be here at 5 o'clock. Maybe Miss Gwen will come back. We'll see. But she is the inaugural guest, and I so appreciate you for sharing knowledge. Every time I talk to you, you always tell me something good. And now you told a lot of other people something good, too. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure. I've enjoyed our chat, our girl talk with everybody else
Right.
eavesdropping. so, so I certainly have enjoyed it. And whenever you want to have me as a guest, just let me know.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And everyone else, thank you for joining me on my inaugural show. I told you all that I was working on something big. It's a new thing for the new year and for the new decade. I'm back. It's radio. It's new. It's next level. It's about growing in your life next level in relationships and your finances and your relationships and everything that concerns you about your life to take you to your personal next level and those around you. You can be, once you have reached your next level, you're helping them reach their next level and be their best as well. Thank you to Kimmy Kim and Elation Radio for having me as a new host on the Elation Radio brand. And I guess I'll see you guys on next Saturday, 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can text me, and I don't mind giving my number. It's a public number. It's 843-224-6419. You can text me. You can email me at authenticwoman@live.com. You can go to my web address to get more information about Pre-Valentine's Day presented by Dear Future Husband. The web address is the number one, authenticwoman@live.com. The worksheets will be there, but you want to make sure you don't skip out of the email because the email will give you the link for the webinar so that you can see me and some of you, I'll be able to see you. And so, like I always end, if you follow me on any social media when I'm live, I love you, be authentic, and thank you for letting me help you be great. Until next week, good night.